Dr. Ethan Carter wiped the sweat from his brow as he studied the alien limb before him. It wasn't human, that much was clear, but he could see the structure beneath the translucent skin. The bones were lighter, more flexible, with faint channels that glowed softly, pulsing in rhythm with what he guessed was the alien's heartbeat. The Solari child, Kale, lay quietly on the examination table, eyes wide and wary. Ethan had worked with injured humans before, but this was different. Solari physiology was nothing like his own species. He had spent months studying their biology, reading reports, observing their movements, and consulting with their healers. But nothing compared to the feeling of holding one of their injured limbs in his hands, knowing that he was the only one who could give this child a chance to walk, run, and play again. Kale's parents stood at the edge of the room, their delicate forms shimmering in the soft light. Their skin, almost liquid in its translucence, reflected the faint glows from Ethan's lab. They didn't speak much. Words were not always needed. Their anxiety and hope were clear in every line of their bodies. Kyle had been hurt in a mining accident, a collapse deep in the caves where his family worked. The Solari community had tried to treat him, but their techniques could not replace the lost limb. Ethan took a deep breath and set to work. He laid out a series of tools that were familiar to him, but would be foreign to the Solari: metal instruments, synthetic fibers, and his custom microprocessors. He needed to design a prosthetic that could mimic Kale's natural movements, that could glow with the same rhythm as the child's body, and that could endure the rough play of a young Solari. Hours passed, and the lab grew quiet except for the soft hum of machinery and the occasional voice of Kale's parents, whispering words of encouragement in their melodic language. Ethan studied the structure again, measuring, calculating, imagining how each joint would bend and flex. The challenge was enormous, but he felt a familiar spark of determination. This was what humans did. They faced the impossible, learned, adapted, and created solutions when no one else could. By late afternoon, the basic frame was ready. Ethan had combined lightweight alloys with flexible polymers, carefully embedding sensors to replicate the Solari child's nerve signals. He held the limb up, and the glow from its channels matched Kyle's faint bioluminescence. The child tilted his head, eyes widening in surprise. For a moment, Ethan worried the glow might scare him, but Kale's curiosity quickly overcame his fear. "Kale, can you try to move it?" Ethan asked gently, speaking slowly so the child could understand. Kale hesitated, then reached forward with his remaining limb. Ethan guided his hand to the prosthetic, and Kale grasped it, flexing the fingers tentatively. Light ran along the limb, pulsating as if alive. A small gasp escaped Kale's lips, and then a shy smile spread across his face. The parents exchanged glances, relief flooding their bodies. Words were unnecessary. They didn't need to speak. They could see the joy, the wonder, and the hope returning to their child. Ethan smiled back, though he felt a knot of tension in his stomach. Crafting the limb was only the beginning. He had done something no one in the Solari colony had expected, something that could change the way humans were seen by this species. He could feel it already, the way the other Solari in the room were watching him, curious, cautious, and perhaps impressed. Word traveled faster than Ethan expected. By the evening, a delegation had arrived. At first, he thought it was a routine check, but then he saw her, the queen of the Solari. She moved with a grace that seemed almost unreal. Every step measured, every gesture controlled, yet full of quiet power. Her skin glowed faintly, brighter than any other Solari he had seen, and her eyes, deep and luminous, were fixed on him with intense curiosity. Ethan straightened. He had faced skeptical humans, hostile negotiations, even dangerous missions. But meeting an alien queen was unlike anything he had imagined. He could feel her gaze, assessing him, weighing him. Kale, unaware of the significance, tugged at Ethan's sleeve, asking to try running. Ethan nodded, guiding him to the open space in the lab. The child's new limb moved with surprising ease, and he began to walk, then run, his laughter filling the room. The queen's expression softened slightly. She spoke, her voice like a melody that resonated deep within the room. "You have given her child something we could not." "Why?" Ethan took a careful breath. "Because he needed it. Because he is a child. And because humans can create solutions when others cannot." He kept his voice steady, calm, but there was no hiding the truth. He felt pride, but also awe at the alien standing before him. The queen's eyes studied him. She did not smile, yet there was no hostility. Instead, there was curiosity and perhaps a hint of respect. You risk much by helping our young. You could have been ignored or worse, yet you chose to act. Why? Ethan considered the words. He could have said it was his job, his duty, or some greater scientific mission. But the truth was simpler. Because I can. Because it matters to help someone who cannot help themselves. That is what we do, humans. That is how we prove ourselves. The Queen regarded him silently for a long moment. Around them, the delegation shifted uneasily. They were unsure how to react. The humans and Solari had maintained a careful balance, avoiding conflict, keeping distance. Yet here was Ethan, a human, speaking with honesty and courage, challenging the unspoken rules of etiquette, and earning notice not through words alone, but through action. Finally, she spoke again. You have skill, you have compassion, and you have courage. These are rare qualities, even among our own. Tell me, human, would you continue this work if I asked you? Ethan's pulse quickened. He knew this question carried weight. Agreeing could mean staying here indefinitely, leaving Earth, leaving his family, his life as he knew it. Yet refusing could close the door to a chance he had never imagined, a chance to make a difference, to be part of something larger than himself. I would, he said simply after a pause. If it helps them, if it saves lives, then yes, I would continue. The Queen inclined her head slightly. There was a glimmer of something in her expression. Approval, perhaps, or the spark of curiosity about what a human could truly accomplish. Then we shall see, she said softly. We shall see how far your courage takes you. But know this, human. What you have done today has not gone unnoticed. Your actions will echo beyond this child, beyond this colony. You have touched more than one life. You have touched a people. Ethan nodded, trying to absorb her words. He looked down at Cale, who was now climbing onto a table and examining his new limb as if it were a toy. The child laughed, and the sound was like music, bright and pure. Ethan's chest swelled with a mixture of pride and humility. He had come to this remote colony to do his work quietly, without fanfare, without notice. But in saving one child, he had caught the attention of a queen and perhaps of an entire species. The delegation lingered, observing the interaction. Ethan felt their eyes on him, measuring, questioning, and perhaps learning that humans were not just fragile creatures of soft bodies and fragile technology. Humans could think, create, and act in ways that even the Solari found remarkable. The thought made him proud, but he kept his expression calm, professional. He knew this was only the beginning. The Queen spoke again, her voice softer this time, almost like a whisper carried on the wind. Rest now, human. Tomorrow we will speak further. There is much to discuss and much to learn from you. But for now, know that you have done something extraordinary. You have helped one of ours, and in doing so you have shown us what your kind is capable of. Ethan nodded, bowing his head slightly in respect. As the Queen and her delegation departed, the room seemed quieter, almost empty, but the air was charged with possibility. He looked at Cale, whose eyes were still shining with excitement, and he knew that what he had done mattered, not only to the child, but to the people around him. Later that night, as Ethan cleaned his tools and prepared for another day, he could not shake the feeling that his life had changed forever. Helping a child had brought him into contact with power and responsibility he had never expected. And deep down he felt a spark of something he had not felt in a long time. A sense of purpose that stretched far beyond his own world. Reaching into the stars, for the first time, he understood what it meant to be human in a universe full of wonders and unknowns. It was not just strength or intelligence that defined them. It was the courage to act, the compassion to care, and the determination to make a difference even when the odds were against them. And tomorrow, he would learn just how far that courage could take him. The next morning, Ethan woke before sunrise, his mind still swirling with thoughts of the previous day. Cale was already awake, sitting at the edge of the table and testing the movements of his new limb with delight. The glow from the child's arm pulsed gently, mirroring his own energy, and each movement was smooth and confident. Ethan could not help but smile. The first step had been taken, and the result was far better than he had imagined. A soft knock came at the door, and before Ethan could answer, it opened. The Solari Queen entered, flanked by her advisors. She moved with the same quiet grace as before, her glowing skin shimmering faintly in the morning light. Ethan stood, careful not to show surprise or hesitation, though the presence of a queen in his workshop still carried an almost surreal weight. "Human," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "You have exceeded expectations. What you have done for Kale is remarkable. But it is only the beginning. We have many among us who need your skills, and your abilities could change the course of our people." Ethan nodded, swallowing hard. "I will do what I can," he said. "If it helps your people, I will continue my work." The queen studied him closely, her glowing eyes piercing, as if she were reading not only his words, but the thoughts behind them. "Your willingness is rare," she said. "We often find humans unpredictable. Some are reckless, others are timid. You are neither. You act with thought and courage. This is why I have come to you." Ethan felt a mixture of pride and unease. He had expected gratitude from Kale's parents and perhaps acknowledgement from the colony, but an audience with the queen herself was something he had never imagined. "I am honored," he said carefully. "I want to help, but I do not want to overstep. I am still learning your ways, your culture. I do not wish to offend." The queen inclined her head slightly. "Learning is expected. Mistakes are tolerated when intentions are clear. You have shown that your intentions are good, and that is enough to earn our trust. But understand this, helping us is not just about skill. It is about responsibility. Every action you take affects not just an individual but the community, and even the future of our species." Ethan nodded again, absorbing her words. He had never considered the wider implications of his work on this level. In human hospitals or research labs, success or failure often affected only the patient and the immediate team. Here, his creations could influence generations. The thought was sobering, yet it strengthened his resolve. The queen gestured toward Kale, who was now attempting to jump from a low platform with his new limb. He landed gracefully, wobbling only slightly, and laughed loudly. "See?" Ethan said, encouraging him. "You're doing amazing." Kale's parents clapped softly, their bioluminescent skin glowing brighter with joy. The queen watched for a moment, her expression unreadable, then spoke again. "We have faced dangers in our expansion, in our pursuit of resources and knowledge. Many among us have been injured, some irreparably. Your skills could prevent suffering, could save lives, and could teach us to do more than we can on our own. Will you stay human? Will you work with us as a teacher, as a creator, as someone who bridges the gap between our species?" Ethan hesitated. Leaving Earth, leaving his life behind, was not a small decision. Yet as he looked at Kale and the other children who played nearby, he felt a deep sense of purpose. Humans often measured their worth by their ability to act, to help, to solve problems others could not. Here was a chance to do exactly that, on a scale he had never dreamed possible. "I will," he said finally, his voice firm. "If it helps your people, I will stay. I will teach, create, and learn alongside you. That is the best way I can repay your trust." The queen's eyes softened. "Then it is decided. You will begin immediately. You will work with our healers, learn from our scientists, and continue your creations. But understand, human, you are not merely a craftsman here. You are a link between two worlds. Your work will shape perceptions, build alliances, and perhaps even change the way we see each other." Ethan felt a weight settle on his shoulders, heavy, but not unpleasant. This was more than he had bargained for, yet it was also a challenge he was eager to meet. "I understand," he said. "I will do my best." The queen nodded once, then turned and left, her advisors following. The room felt empty immediately after her departure, though the presence of Kale and his parents reminded Ethan that the work was real and immediate. He returned to his tools, carefully examining the limb he had crafted, considering improvements, adjustments, and new designs. Over the next several days, Ethan immersed himself in the work. He collaborated with Solari healers, teaching them human techniques of prosthetic attachment, movement calibration, and material design. In return, he learned about Solari energy channels, their natural bioluminescence, and the ways their bodies healed and adapted to injury. Every day was a lesson, every challenge an opportunity. The children were quick learners. Kale was joined by others who had injuries or disabilities, each eager to test new limbs and devices. Ethan found himself not only crafting prosthetics but designing tools for mobility, games for coordination, and devices that could teach the young Solari how to use their new abilities to their fullest. One evening, while Ethan was calibrating a device to help Kale climb walls safely, the Queen returned. She moved quietly, almost unnoticed, observing him work. Ethan straightened, but she only smiled faintly. "I see your hands are busy, human, but your mind is even busier. You think beyond what is required, beyond what is asked. That is why I value you." Ethan paused, wiping a smear of oil from his hands. "I only want to help. That is all. Helping is never only," the Queen said softly. "It is the foundation of strength. The courage to act for others, the creativity to solve impossible problems, these are qualities that define a species. You humans show them clearly." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of pride and humility. He had always believed that humans could achieve extraordinary things, but here, far from Earth, facing a species more advanced in some ways than his own, he felt proof of it. Humanity's strength was not merely in technology or numbers. It was in heart, in determination, and in the ability to care enough to act. The Queen spoke again, more softly this time, almost as if sharing a secret. "Kale's recovery is just the beginning. There are others, more injured, more in need. Your work could prevent future tragedies, teach us new ways to heal and inspire both humans and Solari alike. But there is something else, human, something you may not understand yet. By helping our children, you have also helped our people see humans differently. You have given them hope, courage, and proof that we can trust your kind." Ethan nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. His role was larger than he had imagined. Every limb he crafted, every device he designed, was not just about physical function. It was about building trust, bridging worlds, and showing that humans could contribute meaningfully to a species beyond their own. Days turned into weeks. Ethan's workshop became a hub of activity, with children laughing, running, and testing new prosthetics. Parents watched with cautious optimism, and the Solari healers began to adopt some of his methods, integrating them with their own. The Queen visited occasionally, observing silently, her presence both intimidating and encouraging. One afternoon, as Kale and a group of children played a game that Ethan had designed to strengthen coordination, the Queen approached him directly. "Human," she said, her tone neutral but commanding. "You have done more than I expected. But now a new challenge arises. There are territories where our people work in dangerous conditions, mining and exploring. Injuries are frequent and resources limited. We need you to extend your designs beyond the young. Can you help adults as well? Can you teach our healers to reach those who are far from safety?" Ethan thought for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, I can do that. I can design tools and prosthetics for adults, for workers, for anyone who needs them. It will take time, but it can be done." The Queen's eyes glowed faintly, almost like a smile. "Good, then begin. You will not be alone. Our healers are scientists, they will assist you. But understand this. Your creations will be tested in ways you may not imagine. You must be precise, creative, and adaptable. Lives will depend on your work." Ethan felt a mixture of determination and excitement. This was more than work. It was purpose, responsibility, and opportunity all at once. He returned to his bench, reviewing designs, materials, and ideas. Every night he would fall asleep thinking of improvements, innovations, and ways to help more Solari. Over time, Ethan's presence became a symbol. Humans were no longer distant observers or occasional traders. They were partners capable of compassion, intelligence, and ingenuity. Kyle thrived, his confidence growing each day. The Queen's visits became less formal, and Ethan began to see glimpses of respect, curiosity, and even friendship in her eyes. One evening, after a long day of work, Ethan stepped outside. The colony was quiet, the soft glow of Solari homes reflecting on the smooth stone. Kale's laughter echoed in the distance, and the Queen's words from earlier resonated in his mind. He had come here to help a child, and in doing so, he had become part of something much larger. Humanity had made its mark, not through conquest, but through creativity, courage, and compassion. And as he looked toward the stars, Ethan realized that this